Breaking. On April 6, 2026, Israel announced a number that should have stopped global markets in their tracks. 85%. Not a military statistic, not a casualty count, an economic destruction percentage. 85% of Iran petrochemical exports destroyed. The South Pars facility hit, the largest in Iran, the largest in the world. The economic lifeline severed, the revenue stopped, the currency collapsing, the inflation exploding, the population facing poverty, hunger, and desperation. And today, as 3 million Kuwaitis thirst for water, as Bahrain burns, as Trump drops F-bombs and issues Tuesday deadlines, as Kademi is assassinated and leadership is hunted, the systematic destruction of Iran economy continues. This is not warfare. This is economic extermination. This is April 6, 2026, the day Israel proved it can destroy a nation without occupying a single inch of territory. The day economic war replaced military conquest. The day 85% became death sentence for 80 million people. Welcome back. What Israel claimed on April 6, 2026 is the most important piece of information about this war economic dimension that has been systematically buried under F-bomb virality, Tuesday deadline threats, 45-day ceasefire speculation, and leadership assassination news. We are going through every verified detail of South Pars destruction, every aspect of 85% export loss, every consequence of economic devastation, and every connection to power plant strikes, water crisis, and systematic national disablement, because the question of whether this is warfare or economic genocide is not semantic debate. It is the central question of civilian survival, state function, international law, and the future of global economic order. Drop a comment right now if you had not seen 85% petrochemical export destruction connected to comprehensive national collapse, because that connection tells us everything about what Israel calls victory and what Iranians call existence. Let's start with exactly what was hit, because precision matters here and every detail reveals strategic significance and economic impact. The South Pars gas field is the largest natural gas field in the world. Discovered 1971, shared between Iran and Qatar, 9,700 square kilometers, 14 trillion cubic meters of gas reserves, 18 billion barrels of condensate. The Iranian portion represents 40% of Iran total gas reserves. 60% of government revenue depends on this field, the economic heart of Iranian state. The facility hit on April 6, 2026 was the South Pars Phase 14 petrochemical complex, the largest processing plant in Iranian energy infrastructure, the export hub for entire petrochemical sector, the condensate separation facility, the product storage and loading terminal, the infrastructure that transforms raw natural gas into exportable chemical products, the revenue generator that funds government operations. The strike was multiple precision munitions, F-35 or drone launched. Small warheads, targeted destruction, processing towers hit directly, chemical reactions stopped, storage tanks burning, products ignited, loading facilities disabled, export capability eliminated, pipeline connections severed, supply chains broken. The complex was not damaged, it was crippled. The function was not degraded, it was eliminated. The capacity was not reduced, it was terminated. The facility that took 20 years to build was destroyed in 20 minutes. The workers were present. 3,000 personnel on site during strike. Engineers operating control systems, technicians monitoring processes, laborers maintaining equipment, security personnel protecting facility. The casualties are unknown. The injuries are unreported. The deaths are buried under economic statistics. But they exist. They are real. They are human cost of 85% destruction. The South Pars Phase 14 took 20 years to build. Construction began 2002. Chinese technology partnership, European engineering contracts. Iranian domestic manufacturing, $20 billion total investment, thousands of engineers trained, supply chains developed, technical expertise accumulated, institutional knowledge built. The destruction took 20 minutes. The loss is generational. The recovery is impossible under current sanctions. The facility cannot be rebuilt without foreign technology. The foreign technology is unavailable. The sanctions prevent procurement. The expertise is lost. The supply chains are broken. The facility will not be rebuilt. The economy will not recover. The 20 years of development is erased. Share this video right now because the gap between South Par's construction and destruction was 20 years of national development versus 20 minutes of military strike. The gap between economic heart and economic corpse was single precision attack. Now let's examine what Israel claims, because accuracy is everything on this channel, and this number reveals strategic calculation and intended message. Israel claims 85% of Iran petrochemical exports destroyed. Not 50%, not 70%, not even 80%, 85%, near total elimination. The export capacity is not reduced or impaired, it is terminated. The revenue is not decreased or limited, it is ended. The economic function is not damaged or degraded, it is abolished. The claim is specific to petrochemical exports, not crude oil exports, not natural gas exports, the processed value-added products, the industrial chemicals, the plastics precursors, the fertilizer components, the synthetic rubber feedstocks, the revenue source that requires complex technical infrastructure, the export category that cannot be quickly replaced or substituted, the economic activity that requires functioning industrial facilities. The 85% is calculated from pre-war baseline, $15 billion annual petrochemical export revenue, reduced to $2.25 billion remaining capacity. The loss is $12.75 billion per year. The immediate monthly impact is $1 billion. The Iranian government cannot replace this revenue through other sources. The oil exports are already limited by sanctions. The gas exports require infrastructure that does not exist. The petrochemicals were the remaining economic lifeline. The currency impact is catastrophic. The rial requires dollar inflows to maintain exchange rate. The petrochemical exports provided those dollars. Without them, currency collapses. Inflation explodes. Savings evaporate. Middle class is destroyed. Population is impoverished. The claim is strategic communication. The number is message. To Iranian leadership, your economy is destroyed. Your state is unsustainable. Your future is impossible. Surrender is inevitable. To Iranian population, your government cannot protect you. Your livelihood is gone. Your survival is at risk. To international community, Iran is collapsing. Intervention is required. Containment is failing. To energy markets, Iranian supply is eliminated. Prices must rise. Alternative sources are needed. The claim is also warning to other energy producers, to Qatar, to Saudi Arabia, to UAE, to Kuwait, to all Gulf exporters. The facilities are vulnerable. The infrastructure can be targeted. The revenue can be eliminated. The economic security is illusion. The protection is inadequate. The future is uncertain. Hit subscribe right now, because what I am about to tell you next is the part of this story that energy markets, Gulf monarchies, and global economy desperately do not want assembled in one place. The 85% destruction is not isolated loss, it is trigger, catalyst. First domino in cascade that destroys entire national economy and state function. The petrochemical exports fund government operations directly. The revenue pays public sector salaries. 5 million government employees depend on this income. The military, the bureaucracy, the teachers, the medical staff. Without revenue, government cannot pay employees, cannot maintain operations, cannot control territory, cannot maintain order. The state collapses from within. The petrochemical industry employs 500,000 workers directly, engineers, technicians, operators, laborers, indirectly millions more in supply chains, raw material providers, transportation companies, maintenance services, engineering consultancies, support industries. The destruction eliminates employment, creates mass unemployment, generates poverty, fuels desperation, drives unrest. The currency depends on export earnings. The rial requires dollar inflows to maintain value. The exchange rate requires confidence in future earnings. The banking system requires reserves to function. The destruction eliminates earnings, collapses currency, triggers hyperinflation, destroys savings, ruins middle class, impoverishes entire population. The imports require foreign exchange. Iran imports 40% of food, 90% of medicine, all advanced technology, the essentials of modern life. The destruction eliminates exchange availability, prevents imports, creates shortages, generates hunger, causes disease, kills civilians through economic mechanism. The cascade continues. Hunger leads to unrest. Unrest leads to repression. Repression leads to resistance. Resistance leads to civil conflict. Civil conflict leads to state failure. State failure leads to regional war. Regional war leads to global intervention. The 85% is not economic statistic. It is death sentence for Iranian state, for Iranian population, for regional stability. Drop a comment right now. When you see 85% export destruction leading through cascade to currency collapse, import shortage, hunger, disease, and state failure, what does that mean to you about civilian targeting and economic warfare? I genuinely want to know. But the economic destruction is not isolated operation. It is coordinated with military pressure, leadership assassination, infrastructure targeting, civilian pressure. The combination is total war without invasion. Kademi killed April 6th. Intelligence chief eliminated. 50-year experience lost. Institutional memory destroyed. IRGC intelligence organization paralyzed. Khamenei killed June 2025. Supreme leader eliminated. Regime decapitated. Legitimacy destroyed. Succession broken. Pezeshkian killed March 2026. President assassinated. Reform eliminated. Alternative destroyed. Multiple IRGC generals killed March 28, April 1. Military command degraded. Operational capability reduced. Strategic coherence lost. 85% petrochemical exports destroyed April 6th. Economy eliminated. Revenue ended. State function paralyzed. Power plants targeted. Electricity failing. Air conditioning stopped. Hospital generators overloaded. Society paralyzed. Bridges targeted. Transportation stopped. Supply chains broken. Nation isolated. Communities separated. The combination is systematic, comprehensive. The military eliminates leadership. The economic destroys function. The infrastructure pressure forces civilians suffering. The combination forces collapse. The war is won without invasion. The victory is total without occupation. The nation is destroyed without conquest. The method is new, revolutionary. Economic war as primary strategy. Military pressure as supporting operation. Civilian suffering as leverage. The traditional approach is military defeat enables economic extraction. The Israeli approach is economic destruction enables political collapse. The nation is destroyed from within. The population is forced to surrender. The state collapses under pressure. The method is effective. The Iranian state is failing. The leadership is hunted and eliminated. The economy is destroyed. The population is suffering. The surrender is inevitable. The collapse is imminent. The war is won through economic extermination. Stay till very end, because final piece of this analysis is most important context for every person thinking about what 85% destruction means for international law, future of warfare, and global economic order. Here is complete documented picture. 85% petrochemical exports destroyed. South Pars burning, Kademi dead, Khamenei dead, Pezeshkian dead, multiple generals dead, power plants targeted, bridges threatened, currency collapsing, inflation exploding, population facing hunger, state facing collapse, and global energy security shattered. The South Pars destruction affects global markets immediately. The condensate supply is reduced by 85%. The petrochemical product prices rise sharply. The plastics industry faces raw material shortage. The manufacturing supply chains are disrupted. The fertilizer supply is threatened. The agricultural production is at risk. The food security is compromised. The global economy is impacted through multiple channels. The destruction affects regional stability catastrophically. The Iranian collapse threatens all neighbors. The refugee flow of millions is inevitable. The conflict spillover into Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan is certain. The regional war is expanding beyond control. The global intervention becomes necessary. The world is dragged into conflict. The destruction affects energy security doctrine fundamentally. The facilities are demonstrated vulnerable. The infrastructure is proven target. The revenue is shown at risk. The protection is revealed illusion. The security is exposed as inadequate. The Gulf monarchies are shown exposed. The global economy is shown threatened. The future of energy supply is uncertain. The 85% is message to entire world. Energy infrastructure is weapon of war. Economic function is legitimate target. National survival is at risk. The future of warfare is economic. The future of security is uncertain. The future of global order is threatened. None of this means Iranian regime was benign. None of this means its policies were justified. None of this means its regional actions were legitimate. None of this means its nuclear program was peaceful. These are real complexities that honest analysts across political spectrum acknowledge. But there is difference between military defeat and economic extermination, between policy change and national destruction, between warfare and genocide, between international law and lawless destruction, between civilization and barbarism. The 85% is not victory. It is catastrophe for Iran, for region, for world, for international law, for future of economic warfare, for possibility of global order. Now, I want to ask you 3 questions I ask at end of every video, because your answers are part of historical record of how people responded to this information. Question A, what would you do with this information if you were Iranian leader right now? Would you accept 45-day Pakistan ceasefire proposal to stop further economic destruction and begin recovery? Or do you believe that 85% loss means nothing left to save and total resistance, regardless of cost, is only honorable option? Tell me exactly what you would do in comments. Question B. Who do you trust more on economic war question? Israeli claim that 85% petrochemical export destruction is legitimate warfare against enemy economy, or international law prohibition against targeting civilian economy, essential infrastructure, and means of national survival? Drop your honest assessment below. Question C. Will you speak out about 85% petrochemical exports destroyed, South Pars facility burning, economic extermination of 80 million people, systematic national disablement, and economic genocide disguised as military victory? Will you be someone who makes sure that economic catastrophe is part of public record and part of international conversation? Or will you let it get buried under F-bomb virality, Tuesday deadline threats, and leadership assassination news? Here is where we stand April 6, 2026. Day 10 of war, 85% petrochemical exports destroyed, South Pars burning, economic lifeline severed, currency collapsing, inflation exploding, population facing hunger and disease, state facing collapse, regional stability shattered, global energy security threatened, and world discusses profanity while economic genocide proceeds. The 85% is number. The suffering is human. The destruction is criminal. The silence is complicity. The future is uncertain. If this video gave you full picture that economic statistics obscured, please share it right now. Every share reaches someone who saw percentage but missed catastrophe. Every share builds awareness of economic war reality. Every share prepares people for national collapse consequences. Every share challenges economic genocide normalization. Hit subscribe so you are here when economic collapse triggers political explosion, when refugee crisis begins, when regional war expands, when global intervention becomes inevitable, when world finally recognizes what 85% means. Drop comment below because your voice in this conversation is most important thing this channel has. Your recognition of economic war, your condemnation of extermination, your memory of April 6, 2026, your understanding that 85% is not victory but catastrophe. We cover this because it matters. We cover it with verified facts because that is only journalism that serves you. We cover it through statistics to find humanity. We cover it through numbers to find suffering. And we will keep asking questions that people in power hope percentages obscure, that economic jargon hides, that statistics dehumanize. I will see you in next one.